Time now to check out the PFF grades against the Colts. Yeah, the Jets played another no good, terrible, stinky, horrible game against the Indianapolis Colts, who beat us 28-27. We were looking good there for a little while, and then the wheels fell off toward the end. And that's no good in NFL football. that's very bad. But nonetheless, with the season pretty much over, it's probably a good idea to start looking at some PFF grades with an eye toward the future. Now, we don't use PFF grades as the Bible, but we use them to point us to things like who should we study a little bit more closely in our film study, for example. So we'll take a look at these grades and see what we can find out right after this quick message.
Hey there, ever dreamt of coaching in the big leagues? Well, hold on to your playbooks because this might just be your chance. Are you a football coach looking for work? The New York Jets, headquartered in beautiful Florham Park, New Jersey, could be looking for you. Do you enjoy answering to a boss who answers to the bean counters in an organization? Do you enjoy being told, "We can't afford him," when you make personnel suggestions for the roster? Are you someone who can only win with elite talent at every position on the football field? Can you thrive in a high-pressure, high-stress environment where the owner of the team may decide to fire you 5 games into the season without consulting his general manager or anyone else about the decision? Do you enjoy interacting with dirty journalists out to write clickbait, nasty articles about you to further their own careers? Would you enjoy living in a high-tax, terrible weather, women with mononucleosis state where every radio station plays Bruce Springsteen songs 24 hours a day? Well, then this could be an employment opportunity of a lifetime. Apply today at New York, but really NewJerseyJets.com.
We do. Okay, so here we go. Here we are on the offense. You notice who's number one? Kenny Yeboah. That's who's number one, God damn it. And so, but he only played 3 snaps. How about getting Mr. Yeboah a little bit more playing time? All the man does is do what you need him to do. But more importantly, and probably more impressive, look at John Simpson. I think we should sign this guy long term. Looks like we found our left guard. He consistently has good grades. Joe Tipman, similar. Looks like we got ourselves a top 10 center. So that's the good news. Devontae Adams, Brees Hall, Malachi getting some decent grades. 12 snapsies for Malachi. Maybe we need a little more playing time for Malachi down the stretch. I would anticipate that happening. Some better than average grades here. Olu Fashanu in his first game starting at left tackle wasn't great, but above average, so we'll take it. 1 penalty. And then AVT, we'd like you to be better, especially in the pass blocking. AVT has been a problem with pass blocking, and that's something we're going to have to figure out with AVT here. But he's really good at run blocking. So it's something hopefully a new offensive line coach can figure out. And then we got Morgan Moses over here, a little bit below average. But, Morgan Moses playing on one knee, basically sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and doing all sorts of things just to get on the field. I would like to see this guy re-signed for a cheap 2-year deal to be our swing tackle. Then we draft a young guy and either use the young guy if he's further along or have Morgan hold it down for a little while until the young guy is ready next year, and look at the quarterback play here. But lots of decisions to be made, including what do we do with this old man here? All right, on defense, who really stood out? Well, look who's number one. Got another young fella. It's amazing how much talent there is on this team for a team to stink. Now, I think Leonard Taylor, the third, 10 snaps only. Now, if you watch the game with me and with us over on the Green Bean channel, me and Jeremy and Green Bean, the watch party, you heard us talking about Leonard Taylor III quite a bit, saying it looks like he's having an amazing game. And sure enough, he grades out that way. And we were saying, why isn't he on the field more? We got to get this man on the field more. This could be a very important component moving forward, pairing him with Quinnen Williams. Now, we have to figure out whether we're going to be a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense going forward. But nonetheless, if we stay as a 4-3, then these two people are very important. Solly Thomas was on the field. That's a surprise. You're going to pair Will McDonald. So, like, for example, our starting line next year, assuming we go to a 4-3, could be Quinnen and LT in the middle, Will McDonald on one side, and JJ comes back, Jermaine Johnson on the other side. That's a good starting four. That's a good place to start. And then we got to see Kinlaw's probably not coming back, even though he had a nice game here this game. Maybe we re-sign him to a cheap 1 or 2 year deal. I don't know. Eric Watts, we looked at him on film study. He might be something. He might not be something, but he's going to be on the roster. Bruce Hector probably not going to be here. We will have Michael Clemens on the roster, and we all thought he was having a monster game. The grades don't say so. And so, but we really only have, I think, 5 guys on the roster right now from a defensive line. Well, then we got, Braden McGregor, that's 6. So we got a lot of restructuring to do of this entire defense in terms of the front. So the emergence of somebody like Leonard Taylor would be a great, great thing. Rushing grades, 9-8 zone gap. So a little bit more even there than normal, but still running, fair amount of zone as opposed to gap runs. Let's look at these blocking grades. Let's look at pass rushing efficiency, which is what I prefer. Max Mitchell only got in there for 1 snap. Brees Hall with a nice grade. That's good. Ruckert. Simpson with 100. That's you can't do better than that. 100% efficient. Johnny Simpson really making the case that he's maybe our best lineman. Joe Tippmann with 98.5. That's still excellent. Morgan Moses with a 97. That's okay. But these two are subpar. AVT and Olu. And this was Olu's first game starting at left tackle. So the rookie, you give him a break. His pass blocking grade is better than his efficiency grade, which worries you a bit because efficiency just says basically how many people did you let in there out of how many pass sets. And so you can see there Olu had the most, and that's not great. But, of course, hopefully he improves over time. Vera Tucker, this is an ongoing issue for him. He's a much better run blocker than pass blocker, so we might just have to live with that and hope he just gets better or gets a little stronger in the offseason, gets his anchor a little bit better moving forward. Passing grades. Now, here's an interesting game for Rodgers. If you watch the game, he didn't play great. But if you just look at these numbers, you're like, well, this isn't too bad. I mean, 76%, that's a good completion percentage. Not too many yards, but Charlie checked down over here, 6.3 yards per attempt. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's good looking on paper. But then you see some uncharacteristic things. No big-time throws, 2 turnover-worthy plays. These are not things that you normally see with Aaron Rodgers. That has to concern you as he's getting older. And if you're watching the game, some of these throws he was making in the first half were just terrible. 2.48 time to throw, that's fine. He is getting rid of the ball quickly. One of the things I want to take a look at is it seems like the offensive line is holding up well initially and giving him some time to throw to find his first or second receiver. It seems to me that the reason we're not throwing the ball downfield more is because the offensive line is not holding up good enough to allow Rodgers to get to his third and fourth read. Now, he didn't say that in the media, and thank God he didn't, because you don't want the quarterback throwing your entire offensive line under the bus. In the media, you want him talking about that in the team meetings and so forth. And so the media asked him about it, and he said, well, they're running cover 2 and this and that. And then they criticize him for saying that and saying, well, it doesn't matter if they're doing cover 2. You should throw it downfield anyway, which is completely stupid. But the reality is, and I want to look at the tape to confirm this, but my suspicion is that the line is holding up well enough initially in order to get to the first or second read, but not holding up well enough, generally speaking, for him to get to his third and fourth read and do sort of a full field read. He talked about uh, halving the field, which is an interesting way to think about it. But I think the reason he's doing that and saying that is the implied thing is I can't get to my third and fourth read. So he's only getting through one or two reads on one side of the field. And then by the time he would be getting over to the other side of the field, here comes the pass rush. Now, he didn't want to say that in front of the media, and that's a good thing. But I think that's what's really going on. And we're going to have to take a look at the film study, though, to determine if that's the case. But that's my suspicion right now. All right, so let's do a little bit of comparison. It's the end of week 11. There's one more game tonight in Monday Night Football, but nonetheless, let's take a look at where some of our players stack up across the league. Maybe wondering, some of these young players, where do they rank? Well, right now, as far as centers go, we got a top 7 center, Joe Tipman, 7th in the league overall. So you figure he's going to get better. Look at his efficiency grade overall. Very nice. So, and he only has one penalty the whole year. Nice. Some of these people have 6, 6, 8. So he's doing a good job. Top 7 center. Now we could have had this guy. We could have had this guy. But nonetheless, we got this guy. Now, in his draft, it was between him and him. So we got the 7th. The Giants got the 19th. Now, doesn't mean he won't improve. John Michael Schmitz. But so far, Tipman outplaying him. So far, we made the right choice as far as those two are concerned. So that's a good thing. Now, what about our tackles, though? What about, well, we're not going to look at the tackles. Well, what about our guards? How are they looking? And this is filtered for the number of snaps. You don't want somebody who just has a few snaps. But boy, you see something interesting with regard to the guards. John Simpson is the 6th highest graded guard in the whole NFL. Remember, there's a lot of them. And here's Quentin Nelson, Indianapolis. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Joe Tooney, we tried to sign him. He didn't want to come here. And look at Kevin Zeitler, went over to the Lions from the Ravens and is performing really well for them. And then you look at Dominic Puny. This is a guy San Francisco picked up in the draft. I forget what round, 2nd or 3rd. But, man, he's performing really well. So that's a nice job. John Simpson, again, we picked him up from Baltimore. So Baltimore lost two of the 4 top linemen here, and they're still, whatever they are, 8-2, 7-3, whatever. It doesn't matter. They just keep rolling. In fact, they don't have anybody here. Baltimore, Patrick McCarry, 29th. Not that matters too much. The point is to win games, Frankie. Yeah. Well, look at our good friend Mekhi Becton. So Jeff Stoutland turned him into a guard, and look how good he's doing. Nice job, Mekhi. You love to see it. And here's Ollie Vera Tucker now. That's not bad. The 17th best guard in the league. We would expect more out of you, AVT, but he is coming off of an injury. That's his main problem if he could stay healthy. But 17th, we'd expect you to be a little bit higher, but still not terrible. Look at Tevin Jenkins. This is another reason. So Mekhi Becton, Tevin Jenkins, okay. These are reasons why you take tackles, because if they don't work out at tackle, you move them to guard. Look at Tevin Jenkins. That's very nice. Look at Mekhi. This is very nice. You can move a tackle inside. You can't always move a guard outside. Sometimes you can. We did it with AVT. Sometimes you can, but you can almost always move a tackle inside, right? Look at old friend Greg Roten, 23rd best in the league. Got some good grades for the Gigantes. Look at Laken Tomlinson, even playing pretty well for Seattle. So good for Laken. Nice guy. Didn't play well for us. For whatever the reason. Brandon Scherf, we could have signed him instead of Laken. Now he's got worse grades than Laken. So that's so the point is that we have a decent foundation, moving forward. Somebody want to come in here as a coach, as a GM, the offensive line is pretty well set. Tackle, we're not going to have anybody up here, but of course, Olu is just stepping into his starting job now. So we basically have 4/5 of the line set. That's unusual for a bad team. We don't even have anybody up here. Oh, Tyron. So Tyron played pretty well for us. We were hoping he'd play better, especially with pass protection. He only has a 96.3 efficiency grade, which is substandard, but he didn't play terrible for us. And now he's injured again, and I would suspect he's out for the year. Who knows? We don't know. But he's certainly not going to be here next year. And Olu takes his spot, and then we just need a right tackle. It could be Morgan Moses. But even if you sign Morgan Moses, you want a backup plan. Here's Morgan, 39th in the league, playing on one leg, essentially. And playing better than people like J.C. Latham and Talisi Fwanga. But these guys are rookies. They're going to get better. You would think. And sometimes people get better and sometimes they don't. Look at Trevor Penning. He was supposed to be amazing, and now he's average, so maybe he'll improve over time. 9 penalties. Got to get that down, Trevor. But, so Anton Harrison, here's a guy we could have taken instead of Spinny McWinney, Willie McDonald. So, one thing we might want to consider, here's Jordan Mailata. He's also a graduate of Stoutland University. So, and here's Lane Johnson. Look at these Philadelphia Eagles. One thing we might want to consider doing, it's an off-the-wall idea, but making a trade. Can we trade for an offensive line coach? If we offered the Philadelphia Eagles a second-round pick, would they give us Jeff Stoutland? Jeff Stoutland would be worth a second-round pick. I'm telling you right now. They probably wouldn't do it. Like, what if we went to the Pittsburgh Steelers and offered them a first round pick and a third round pick and Sauce Gardner? Will they give us Mike Tomlin? Probably not. Anyway, those are the PFF grades after the Indianapolis game. I'll see you next time, and as always, stay frosty.
Hi guys, it's Leslie. Frankie asked me to see if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, okay? Wait, but why not? Frankie's gonna be mad with me if you don't subscribe. Please? Pretty please? Pretty please? Thank you, sweeties.